What's going on, guys? It's Spud here, and welcome to episode 61 of the Roundup. In today's episode, we are going to be doing our Major 1 review as Paris Gentlemates beat Optic in a Game 7 Grand Finals to win in Texas at, at Optic's home major, and it was a very, very good Game 7. It was a really good series. The whole tournament was really good. We had a few shocks, we had some upsets, we had some teams leaving early. Rostermania could already be on the way. Let's just see what happens in this episode. First of all, well done to Gentlemates. As Neptune, I believe, was MVP, but they were good this weekend. And I predicted them to win an event this season over FaZe, which might have been seen as controversial. But we have to also talk about the Neptune playing losers finals. Fucking hell, it was incredible what I witnessed in that game 5. Genuinely incredible. Some of the clutchest Call of Duty I've ever witnessed from Neptune. And yeah, well done to Gentlemates. Obviously, Optic finishing second, a bit disappointing with second place, of course. But nonetheless, still a really good showing from Optic. As I was unsure how they would do. We saw how some teams are on LAN compared to online, such as the Royal Ravens. We've obviously got our MVP ladder and our Rookie of the Year ladder, which of course are going to be massively different, as I did say that this would be the case after the event, because the events are the main part of the MVP Rookie of the Year ladder. Like, it's not going to just change like it does every single week. It's obviously going to be a bit different to start with when the season just starts, and then obviously after that we kind of have what we expect it to be type of thing. Enough yapping from me though. We're just going to have a little talk about the event first. So it was a good event. There was a lot of trash talking. I remember Mamba's trash talking against FaZe, stuff like that. But again, we'll talk about certain stuff when we're actually like a decent way through the video, the episode. Sorry. But it was really good. I mean, the amount of merch that Gentlemates gave Alicat as well. I love the Alicat Gentlemates partnership. Um, it was such a good game 7. The whole event was brilliant. I love that the players play like that way rather than that way type of thing. Um, but we're just gonna get into the game now. Obviously, the trophy wasn't as good as I would have liked the trophy to have been potentially, but yeah, I'm hoping as well. I've already started to see that the connection is not that stable at the moment, and it's just like, why is it every time there's a fucking event does this happen? Because it actually doesn't make sense. So if there is any lag, I am sorry in advance. I'm hoping it won't be as bad as the 2 times that the champ specials. It's funny though that both times Optic have won champs in the CDL era is when I've done a fucking roundup. That must mean something, right? Right? Anyway, enough mumbo jumbo from me. The first match was Gentlemates versus Koi. Now, I actually predicted Koi to win this. That was not the case. This was a 3-1 win here for Gentlemates. If we look at the stats, every single player positive on the Gentlemates side. On the other side, Joe Deceives positive, but Real had a really rough series here. 0.64. You know, this is not the Real that we saw of last season, so he's obviously going to be a bit disappointed with himself. But I think that we know that Real is a good player, and I'm sure that he'll come off this slump. Will Koi make a change? Obviously, is something that we'll discuss when we get to their losers bracket game, because that's something that's kind of hard to predict at the moment. But yeah, a good series here from mates. I did actually think Koi would win this. I thought they might have more experience on LAN as a team. Obviously, 3 of them played together last year, but that didn't mean anything here. And then we have Royal Ravens versus Thieves. Now, a lot of people expected the Thieves to win this one because obviously LAN is different to online. by the way, I won't be able to show as many clips if it is actually gonna be this slow. It'll just I fucking hate it. I actually hate it. Why does it do this whenever I'm trying to do a longer episode? Like it actually does my head in so much. Like you just don't understand. So here this one was 1-3-0 here. Yeah, this is what I mean. Like the Ravens online, they've done well. They've beaten Optic. They've beaten Thieves. They looked like an actual solid team, and then they've been put into a game where um, they're playing the Thieves on LAN, and they've been absolutely destroyed by all of them. MVP here was Hydra. You know, he has been the best player for them this season anyway. But a good showing from him as always. And I thought, oh, you know, obviously Thieves are the team that I did predict to win this event. So like, I was kind of expecting. I was obviously expecting a good showing from Thieves. Obviously that turned out not to be the case for many reasons. But yeah, they did play well in this series, at least for them. You know, I know it's nothing to be like, oh, you know, we're back type of thing, but they looked good, and I did think that they would genuinely make a run. Yeah, so now this episode isn't going to be as long as I planned, just because obviously the problems I've got with the fucking connection seems to only be a case when I'm doing major results. I don't know why, but it is. So I only really want to show like the big stuff just for that reason. So it's disappointing. It genuinely is because like I want the roundup to be like so you guys footage as possible. Now obviously I'm not going to do a 2 hour episode because I'd just be sat talking to myself for 2 hours. Like we did an hour and a half for champs, 24 champs, and that was difficult. It was really difficult, and I enjoyed doing it because I love talking about the Call of Duty League. But then to find out that it was lagging for a lot of it as well, you know, when like showing the clips, it does hurt a bit. Anyway, Optic played Falcons here. This was a 3-0 win here for Optic. Mercury's with a 1.3, Shots with a 1.23, Dash with a 1.11. On the other side, everyone negative on the Falcons side. A bit of a disappointing series here for Falcons, but Optic played very comfortable Call of Duty and looked superior to the Falcons. And it was a good start. It definitely was a good start for Optic. I think they needed that, to be honest. They did need a good start. Because I think if they went to losers bracket at their own event, I just think it would have just been a disaster. And then our final winners bracket match was Vegas versus G2, and G2 pulled off a shock here, especially in that Overlord, because it was FaZe were comfortable in that Overlord until G2 just came out of nowhere. And rough suits from all four, Boozer and Draza. On the other side, Estriel, Kremp, Skies, superb series. Mamba had a good series as well. He was one kill off being in the green. And I'm thinking G2 might have FaZe's number potentially. Like, I was really impressed with how G2 played. Really impressed. And Mamba got loud after the game. Obviously, Karma bit him on the arse, as we'll see shortly. So that was Thursday's games. So I would say overall a pretty decent Thursday for Call of Duty action. And you know we had a shock result as well, so I always think that That's always a good thing to see a shock result. And then we move on to Friday, and again, for me, this is another shock result when it loads. So Royal Ravens here lose 3-1 to the Vancouver Surge. Now, obviously for me, this is a shock result because I just didn't see it coming. I thought Ravens would be fine. But it's won here by Surge. Really close hard point to start with. I am going to show you this. If we look at the stats, though, Lurks had a good weekend. Craze has had a couple of rough series now. Abe was really poor in this series, by the way. But that's Luna's best series since joining the Call of Duty League from last year. 1.55 in a massive game for the Surge.
But Surge need to get the break. It's Craze here first. His two teammates on the top side. If you're Vancouver Surge, you take your time. You're looking for the kills. You're not in a hurry.
What do we got? We got streaks. We got some to throw. We got a couple of kills over the top. Though it's Lurks finding a big one. 3 dead. All dead. All down. What a moment.
And this is going to be it. One final break. This is going to decide the game.
Final hit. Here we go. Surge. Oh, show us what you're made of. Is it tough stuff? It's a final 10 seconds. It's one more attack, and they have been red. And Lurks is melting everyone from Surge. Devastation. Back-to-back 4 downs. And the Ravens take flight.
I was expecting XC to get loud there. He didn't. I was a tad surprised there that XC didn't get loud, but yeah, a good series here from the Surge. I think they needed it because they've had a really rough season. So yeah, a good showing for them. And then we had Koi versus Heretics, obviously the Spanish derby. And this one was won 3-2 by the Miami Heretics. I did have Koi winning this, but Koi go home top 12, which is very disappointing for Koi. I think we'd all agree. A pretty close series though. Again, Real, such a bad LAN event from Real. 0.78 against his old team. Rencor and Super showing what they were doing last season. This was a really good series to watch. Trex got loud, obviously probably at Real because of Real basically doing Heretics over in terms of that verbal agreement. But I think that I think that this was a really, really fun series to watch, and I still think Real in the long term might have made the better decision to join Koi, but as of now, no. Now, Rostermania, does this team make a change? In my opinion, no. Maybe they change roles though, and I think Kleenex needs to go back on the SMG. Maybe do Kleenex and Real swap around. We'll have to just see what Koi decide to do, of course. If they even do anything about it, they might just stick with how it is now. But they've had a couple of rough matches recently. Then we had Riyadh Falcons versus Cloud9. And this one was won 3-1 here by the Riyadh Falcons. A nice showing. If you look at the stats here, Pred had a good series, so did Exnid and Celium, and Kismet did as well. Like, 1 kill off being in the green. Like, I'm not going to say that he didn't have a good series. On the other side, Afro had a good series, but Beans and Vivid did not. I unfortunately think that based off how Cloud9 are as a team this season, I do think that they're just not going to really bother with many roster changes and just have a shit season. Also, I need to mention this because I've only thought about it whilst I was talking about the Cloud9 situation, but Royal Ravens, okay? Royal Ravens have... Brian Saints basically said that he's disappointed with how they played, but he's running the socials as well as coaching the team and being the general manager. Like, the guy needs a break. Honestly, we need to get organisations like the Royal Ravens out of the Call of Duty League with immediate effect because that's shocking. Like, it's actually shocking. Then we had FaZe versus Boston. And it was a pretty close series for quite a bit of it, but it was a 3-1 win here for FaZe. Draz are having a good one. Abuza, again, not the best of series from Abuza, but he did obviously get better during this tournament. As you'd expect, because Abuza is a good player. But yeah, 3-1 here. Boston go home. I don't think Boston will make a roster change based off last season. But you never know. Obviously, there is a week break now until the next games, so we'll have to just see what happens. Final game on the Friday was Vancouver Surge versus Miami Heretics. Winner would go on to Saturday, guaranteed a top 6 finish. Loser goes home top 8. It was a pretty close series by the S&D, but it's Heretics to take it 3-0 fashion. Rencor had a very good event here, 1.55. You know, this guy was really good last year, so I feel like it shouldn't be a surprise. Abe could be the next one out. If Vancouver decide to make another change, they find someone available, I think Abe could be out of this team. Obviously, looked good on that Koi team at EWC, but he's not looking good at the moment. He's quite lucky to still be in the league after this event. We'll see what happens. So we got on to Saturday's games. And we had 4 3-0s on Saturday. The only one that wasn't was a game 5 here. And it was a good series. Falcons FaZe. FaZe win it. Simp and Draza send Celium home. But I still thought that this would be a good series. But I did expect FaZe to win this one. But Falcons, I know the Falcons have finished top 8 and it's a bit of a disappointing result. I get that. But I do think that FaZe... I think that Falcons are a good team. And I think they'll get better. I don't think they need to make a roster change at all, to be honest. I think their team is really good. But we'll just have to see what happens. This is where we have the winners round, 2 matches. And we expected... I think I predicted Thieves to win this. I did not expect this bloodbath. A 0.69 from Kenny. Yeah, not good. Ghosty, Neptune, Sib, Envoy. What a team. They've built a team of free agents. And they've fucking performed like this and won an event already. I mean, these are good players. Neptune was incredible on the Surge last year. Sib had a bit of a rough year on Cloud9, but he won titles with the Subliners 2 years before that. Ghosty and Envoy won with the Thieves 2 events last year. What is this problem that LA Thieves have? Because who did I predict to win champs this year? I think I predicted Thieves again. I don't know who the hell's going to win champs, but at this moment in time, I would not be going for Thieves. We'll talk about Thieves again after we talk about their series against FaZe. But first, we're going to look at our other winners round 2 match, which was Optic versus G2. Pretty close, to be honest, but it was a 3-0 to Optic, which is the most important. The scoreline ultimately is the most important statistic here. And it was a 3-0 here for Optic. Really good showing from the green wall. And everyone positive on the Optic side. Hugh was MVP in this series. Everyone negative on the G2 side. But again, just a few kills go other ways. You never know what could have happened in this series. But it was won by Optic. In terms of Optic this weekend, I thought that Mercules was the most consistent player. Everyone else had a bit of inconsistency in their gameplay. But yeah, a good series here from Optic. I don't think they'll ever complain with a 3-0 victory. Because who would, ultimately? Yeah, like, it's good showing here from Optic. So, we have to talk about this series. Thieves phase, loser goes home. Winner goes through to Championship Sunday. And it was 3-0 phase. Yeah, this is not good for Thieves. This really isn't good. If we look at the stats, a .63 from Kenny. Yeah. Let's just talk about Kenny, because if you listen to what I said last week, Thieves made the right decision to keep him. I messaged Kenny and Bailey, not Kenny as in Kenny from the CDL, who are two people that are in my community that watch the Call of Duty League. They're both LA Thieves fans. I told them, yep, keeping Kenny was the right idea. Yeah, they didn't agree with me 24 hours later, of course. Sorry, 48 hours later. I think Kenny's time is up on the Thieves, and to be honest, I think he's a low level. He's still a good enough player to be in the league, but not on a top team. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy opportunity he got to be on another top team. Hasn't paid off. Now the talk is obviously the substitute, which is Nyum from the Huntsman in Challengers, is going to come in. No, it's not gonna. It's not gonna make a difference. I'm sorry, it's not. That's my prediction. I think they'll just be as bad. I don't know what the problem is with Thieves this year. Abizi's struggled as well. But Thieves do not look good this year. They look way better with Ghost and Envoy. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what the plan is now for LA Thieves. But there is talk already that Kenny is getting dropped. Nothing is official yet. This is obviously going to come out. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so it'll be coming out on Wednesday. We're actually back to doing it on time now, rather than like Friday night uploads. Yeah, I really don't know what to expect if it is Nyum that's coming in. I expect that there'll be 2 or 3 teams that will have made a change going into next week's games, but we're going to talk about that on next week's episode along with our predictions. So we're not going to be doing any predictions because there is a week break, so we're not going to be doing any predictions today. On the FaZe side though, because obviously we have to talk about FaZe here, 0-4 did have a rough one. This was basically a 4v3. It was basically a 3v3. Draza and Abu, yeah, like I said, Abuza with that damage there, a way better showing from Abuza. He did have a bit of a rough start to this event, but he did back it up with some good Call of Duty in the end. So, yeah, good showing there from FaZe. And Thieves go top 6, not obviously what they would have wanted. And now that they're probably going to have to make a roster change as well. Now, can he go on to one of these lower teams that make a change? Yeah, absolutely. Like, he'd be an upgrade on a lot of players, but he's just not going to be able to win Thieves the World Championship anymore. Our final game on Saturday before we move on to Championship Sunday was G2 Minnesota versus Miami Heretics. I predicted Heretics to win this. Obviously, even if G2 did go home, a top 6 was an okay showing, but they absolutely said no, we're not going anywhere. And 3-0'd Miami Heretics here, including a round 11 on the exposure. Really good showing here from them. Skies with a 1.31. I love that from Skies. I really do. I am happy for Skies. Estrel the only player to go negative, but Estrel had a brilliant weekend, so that's fine. On the other side, Rencor positive, everyone else negative. Metal's had a bit of a rough event actually. You know, Metal's had some inconsistency last season, but he had some really good series. Not this weekend. He did struggle a bit. But this was the last game of the Saturday. We'll show you the G2 round 11 before we move on to Championship Sunday. I just hope this isn't going to lag too much.
Doesn't matter if you could be the hero of round 11. Heretics on offense, working this up towards B. Super. Really not involved for a while here with
they want them to like plant B, right, and then allow Super to go make a hero play. The problem is, though, is that all at G2 are here towards B. So right now it's like a 4 versus 3.
And I think the call's going to be Super. You're going to have to make a play.
Yeah, but I think he's going to get
like
spotted by Estriel. Is he going to see him on that
I don't think
cross?
so.
No, he doesn't spot him.
Based on Mamba's reaction, that does not seem to be the case. He's going to go the whole way through. There's going to be the first blood. Does he get traded out? He does. The knife too short. The rest of the kills go the way of G2. Suddenly it's going to be all on Rancor to come away with the clutch. Him versus Estriel and Mamba. 30 seconds left to go. Can he make the play? Not gonna happen. G2. Doesn't matter if you could be the hero of round 11. Heretics on offense, working this up towards B. Super.
Yeah, I think honestly I think Heretics had a lot of first bloods in this S&D, but they just couldn't capitalize, and G2 take advantage of that and win and go to Championship Sunday. So fair play to G2. They've had a good showing here. I think they're definitely a decent team on LAN. But we have to still see how they do. We'll still have to see how they do throughout the season. This could be like a Boston Breach potentially type of top 4 finish. We'll just have to see. So Championship Sunday, and we start with an absolute banger. Championship Sunday was really good. Obviously, I know it didn't go the way I wanted it to in terms of Optic winning, but it was still a really good Championship Sunday. We start here with FaZe Nesloing G2. G2 won both hard points, took it to a game 5, but it is FaZe that win. And a 6-D. They get loud at the end. Draza and 04 and Abuza, Doot and Simp, they all get loud at Mamba because he was chatting shit about them after they beat them in winners round 1. And these pros remember. These pros do remember. If we have a look here at the stats, Estriel had a good series. Sky's had a rough one, unfortunately. 0.69, not good enough against FaZe. Everyone played well on the FaZe side. FaZe go to top 3, where they will face G2, Optic or Gentlemates, obviously in losers finals. But FaZe, after that G2 humiliation, because that's what it was humiliation, they did bring it back and did have a good weekend. Yeah, they didn't win the event, but I think that there's positives from this FaZe team and they'll only get better. Do I think they'll be good enough to win an event? Yeah, absolutely, they're good enough to win an event. I just don't think they will. Then we had Gentlemates versus Optic in winners finals. Now, I was expecting this to be closer than it was, and then obviously because of what happened in the grand finals, I expected it not to go the way it did. But it was a 3-0 here for Optic, including a 6-0 in the Search and Destroy. Like, they were just so confident. I don't know what happened from the winners that was different in the winners final to this, but obviously something changed because Optic became poor. Not poor, but Gentlemates just became good. I mean, if we look at the stats here, not great from anyone really on the Gentlemate side. Envoy did okay and Sib did alright. On the other side, Mercules was actually the only player to go negative on the Optic side. Shotzi had a good series here. So did Dashin Hugh. But yeah, 3 Optic. Optic go to grand finals at their home event. It was looking good. But obviously I expected it to be a difficult final if they played FaZe or Gentlemates, because both teams are very good. What I didn't expect though, I didn't expect this. was this just outrageousness from Neptune. If I want to call it outrageousness, whatever you want to call it, it was absolutely bonkers. Like, I don't understand how this search and destroy happened the way it did, but it happened. And yeah, you might look at stats and go, oh, people can look at stats and go, oh, how is he the best player? Sometimes it's just the impact that you actually can have on a game that can make you the best player. I mean, Neptune did get a 1.06. So that was good anyway. But my word, if we look at yeah, like FaZe played fine here, but I know this is probably gonna crash the fucking video, but I have to show you these back-to-back rounds from Neptune when FaZe were on match point for him to do what he did. For me, it was just absolutely incredible. Like, absolutely incredible. It was genuinely. You just gotta watch. Neptune genuinely for this series is just
major way with the
nuts.
clock now ticking against him and all the space he's got to clear. Decent shots for the first, able to find the kill. Now to the 1v1. Nade. Not gonna land. It's a boost on the other side. Stun comes out, will land. That's good information for Neptune. This is bold. Oh, he may get an opportunity. They're gonna meet over to the middle of the map. Neptune's gonna have the advantage. Kill comes through.
Nice there from Neptune. And you thought that was decent, you know, keep them in the game. You know, that's solid. Yeah, we're not done yet.
The game clock, and now Vegas have the information there at A.
The pair slide forward. They're trying to play. Neptune's looking for the hot hand. He's going to go forward to find one. Can he get away? Oh, a little bit of trouble for Envoy, but Neptune finds another. It's just down to Nep once again. Can he find the kill at the top? Yes. Just to the 1v1. Oh! We're not done. We're not done.
The game clock, and now
They
Vegas
put the
have
music on. They put the
there at A.
music on thinking that the game was over. Neptune said that's not possible. That in terms of how big it is, that's the play of the season so far. It kind of reminds me, not the same, bit of a different situation, I guess, but like Dashi versus FaZe and MW2 on MW3. Sorry, I can't remember what the map was called. I'm no good at the maps. Invasion? I think it was Invasion. But yeah, like where he did that 1v3 against FaZe. And then Gentlemates win round 11. Honestly, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. It was genuinely that crazy. That was that crazy. And I'm thinking, right, okay, so Optic played Gentlemates. They're gonna be on this massive high because obviously, you know, what they've just done is nothing short of incredible. But Optic obviously beat him 3-0. They'll want revenge. What's going to happen? Well, I did not expect this to happen. I did expect Optic to win. I expected it to be a close series, of course, but it's 4-3 here. We had a round 11. We had a 1 point lead in the Overlord. The Overlord went to sudden death, that first Overlord. 2-2, 2-0 Gentlemen, and 2-2, then 3-2, 3-3, 4-3. And he's won by congratulations, gentlemen. You are your 1 minute. Yeah, it's disappointing, of course, for an Optic fan, but congratulations to the mates because they played really well this weekend. And I'm not saying that they didn't deserve to win because I think they did. They were really, really good in this grand final. And Neptune and Sib were just unplayable. To be honest, they were genuinely unplayable. They were that good. I just don't think Optic had a chance against them. And you know, fair enough. That's how it can go sometimes. If we look at the stats, Dashi and Hugh were poor here. Shotzi and Mercules, they did their best. On the other side, Neptune was given MVP of the tournament. Sib, though, went absolutely ham here in grand finals. He was really good. So a massive shout out to him, because he did play really good here. But yeah, it is Gentlemates that win. Like I said, we had a round 11 that was comfortable for mates. We had sudden death in Overlord, but we're going to show you the winning moment here. I'm obviously still a bit disappointed, as you'd expect, but well done to mates. Optic, yeah, they should have went to a round 11, but they failed to do so.
Massive damage for Luke. Guns up, and Neptune and Ghosty find them. It's a 2v1 right now with Ghosty on the hunt. He finds it, a 1v1. 10 seconds to win. Dashy's got to hunt him down. Ghosty's got to stay alive. We're looking for the bomb. 2, 1, stays alive!
Optic through that. That should have been going to a round 11 for who wins the event, and that would have just been like last year's Thieves versus FaZe grand final. But well done to Gentlemates, because they did play really good Call of Duty this weekend. And yeah, they deserve to win. And that's just the reality. We go into the next stage on not knowing who's going to win now. Not every team will actually be at the event in Birmingham either, in England. It is a slightly different format. So teams are going to have to be playing really good, locking in on these online qualifiers, because genuinely there's going to be some crazy things happening, in my opinion. But we'll have to see what happens. I'm looking forward to it though. So, before we do our MVP ladders, we're going to obviously, if my MVP of the event is Neptune, especially for them clutches against FaZe. But everyone on that Gentlemates team was fantastic. Now, winners and losers, obviously winners Gentlemates getting to grand finals is a great achievement. G2 top 4 championship Sunday, I think, is a great achievement. I'm going to say Optic were one of the winners as well, because obviously they had got into a bit of a rough spell going into this event, but they did manage to get top 2, and I think they look alright. And then losers, Thieves, Koi, and Royal Ravens, I would say, were the 3 losers. But yeah, now it is time for the ladders, because obviously, like I said, we're going to do our predictions next week. So we don't need to do the predictions until next week, where hopefully we'll have some more roster mania news. Will Kenny actually be dropped? Stuff like that. We'll figure it all out. We'll find out. Now, before we do our MVP ladders and that as well, we're going to talk about the challengers scene. So, the challengers scene, including the Bush Boys, Jerry, funny, so funny, it was great. We are either going to talk about it briefly next week's episode, with the predictions and that, or I'm going to... So I'll either do that, or I'm going to do it on the Roundup Extra. I'll decide in a couple of days. Make sure to subscribe to the Roundup Extra. I will comment in the description so you can subscribe, and put the link in as well. But it is gonna be like a shorter video if we do it, because I'll be honest, I only really watch the Bush Boys and the Huntsman. But yeah. Right, Rookie of the Year race. It's changed a lot, as you can tell. I did give you all warning that it would change a lot. That is just normal for it to do that. So obviously Legend is still 6th, Abe is 5th, Craze is now down to 4th. I think, you know, it was really close between him and Lurks anyway. But I've decided that I'm going to I've decided I am going to go for Lurks to be 3rd, which I'm pretty happy about. He didn't do too bad, but like I said, there just wasn't really anyone on that team that really stood out this weekend. I've put Trex in 2nd from Heretics. He actually did alright, to be fair to him, online. Obviously, he started to get better online. He did struggle to start. Sorry, I just shit myself. If you can hear like a noise near my window, it's the window cleaner. But obviously, I just did not expect to see that when I was doing that. Mamba, obviously, he has done very well this weekend. And credit where it's due. Good weekend from Mamba. He is now my Rookie of the Year as it stands, but the race is still, obviously, the race is still up for grabs, so we'll see what happens. It's going to be a good one, though. And the one that's more important is MVP. Yes, we might have gone a bit Gentlemates crazy. So I have put Renkor in 10th, Abuser in 9th, Shotzi in 8th, Celium in 7th, Dashi's gone down to 6th, Simp has gone down to 5th, even though he didn't play particularly bad. Mercury's in 4th. I've put Sib in 3rd. The main reason for that is just how good he was in the grand finals. He deserved to be in the top 3 because of how good he was in grand finals. Sorry, I keep calling it champs. Ghosty obviously was my MVP going into the event. He had a very good showing here, but he wasn't as good as Sib and Neptune. But I think based off how he'd played going into this event, he deserves to stay ahead of Sib. And Neptune, that 1v2 clutch, how he played this weekend against Optic as well, he was causing them so many problems on certain maps. He is my current MVP going into the Major 2 split. And I'm pretty happy with that decision as well. Let me know who you think's MVP so far down below. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. That is going to be the end of this episode though. So like I said, we're going to potentially do... So next week's episode will be... Definitely will be predictions and any WrestleMania news. I have had a thought as well. So obviously I've been playing a lot of Rainbow Six Siege recently. There currently is like an R6 Invitational, and we might start talking a bit more about R6 on stream. On the roundup. Because it isn't just Call... We haven't really talked about Counter-Strike in a long time now, since the Major? Did we even talk about the Major in Budapest? I don't even know. We might not have, because it might have... We talked about the one where Donk got MVP, but... Who won? Who won the last event? Or was it Vitality? I don't know if I talked about it or not. Anyway, next episode, we might have one on the Roundup Extra. We will, if we do it on the Roundup Extra, I will bring the Roundup Extra back. So, yeah. We'll have to just see what happens, but yeah. That's going to be the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. I know I've yapped a lot. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And I'll see you next week for predictions and many things more. Bye for now.